The following is a presentation of the Dragon Sports Network.
Game Night is presented by Clean Harbors Environmental Services. Clean Harbors is North America's leading provider of environmental and industrial services. The company serves a diverse customer base which includes a majority of Fortune 500 companies and spans a number of industries including chemical, energy, and manufacturing, as well as numerous government agencies. These customers rely on Clean Harbors to deliver a broad range of services such as end-to-end hazardous waste management, emergency spill response, industrial cleaning and maintenance, and recycling services. Through its Safety Clean subsidiary, Clean Harbors also is North America's largest re-refiner and recycler of used oil and a leading provider of parts washers and environmental services to commercial, industrial, and automotive customers.
I'm Wayne Pumphrey, and this is This Week in Dragon Football History, presented by Roseburg. We are talking about the week of September 10th through the 16th, and let's start with what we could call a couple of recent dates. September 14th, 2012, Junction City took on Bearden in a key 8AA East game. Shaquille Hunter led the Dragons to victory in a driving rain, scoring with less than a minute and a half left, Junction City winning 20-14 over the Bearden Bears. In 2013, on September the 13th, Junction City took on Rising. It's one of those programs you always love to face, the Rising Wildcats being one of them. The Dragons won it 40-24. The next year, on September 12, 2014, they played Rising again, winning it 48-8. On September 16, 2016, Junction City took on the team they faced tonight, the Haynesville Golden Tornado. And of course, anytime you get to play Haynesville, that's a big deal. It's probably one of the more memorable games of the series so far. Haynesville scoring with 2 seconds left to defeat Junction City 30-26. But on September 15th, 2017, 6 years ago tonight, the Dragons recorded their first ever victory over the Golden Tornado. They won it at home 48-20. And the two feature games on This Week in Dragon Football History, well, let's start with September 16th, 2005, Junction City taking on Girton. The Dragons trailed by 3 touchdowns. The game looked like it was pretty much over. In fact, the next day around town, players were being approached by fans saying, "Man, we hate y'all lost that game last night." And they said, "What do you mean lost? We won." Led by J.J. Easter, who was recently inducted into the Dragon Football Wall of Honor, the Dragons rallied to win 39-29. That was September 16th, 2005. On September 15, 2006, 17 years ago tonight, Dragon football fans were yelling at the top of their lungs, wanting to know why an official would use a credit card to determine if a first down was made. That's right, folks, the infamous credit card game. Harmony Grove, Junction City, the final score was 7-6. Why is this one of the featured games? Well, it's a game with a name, the credit card game. It was 17 years ago tonight at Harmony Grove. I'm Wayne Pumphrey, and this has been This Week in Dragon Football History. Here with head coach David Franklin, Haynesville Golden Tornado. Coach, talk about the series with Junction City and why you got them on the schedule and all, and a little bit about tonight's game.
Of course, I guess growing up playing, you always heard about Junction City, and it was one of those games that why don't we play them? I don't know, it just never really happened. I think Junction's pre-district schedule and ours it never really worked out. But then I guess 6-7 years ago we were able to get that worked out, and it's been a lot of fun since then. It's always a good battle back and forth. I think this year's team's no different. There's a lot of speed on that team, and it's just they got a good football team. They're going to have one every year. They're always going to be well coached and have some good football players every year.
Coach, talk a little bit about your team this year and about the early games on your schedule and how they went.
Well, we're 2-0 right now. We played Northwestern, which is the Spring Hill, Sarepta, just a consolidation school, and we played pretty good. We made some mistakes, had a few turnovers, but we were able to come out ahead on that one. And then last week we played Harmon and Groves, kind of a nail biter up there, I guess. They scored on a couple of long passes, and then we intercepted one late, to seal that victory. So we're 2-0, but we've had last week was a pretty close ball game.
Well, I know for Junction City, having Haynesville on the schedule is a big deal. And like you mentioned before, I believe it was around 2015 we started playing y'all. And I know a lot of fans, including myself, we look forward to this game. The history, the tradition. Talk a little bit about the stadium. I was talking to you earlier about it, but you mentioned when it was built. Now, tell us about when it was built and what all have you done to it since?
Well, I think the stadium was built in '47. When it was first built, I didn't know this until I saw some pictures. It was just a frame, and then I think they came in a couple of years ago and enclosed, built dressing rooms and stuff like that. Prior to that, we played over at the school, and I've heard some stories about playing Bird and some people like that, and the fans would drive in on the train or ride in on the train, and it was just of course for years we played up in class, so. And then we moved over here, I guess, in the late '40s, and there's just a lot of tradition here. People are very supportive in the community, just like they are in Junction City. Friday nights is kind of there's not much entertainment in the two cities, so this is a good place to go on Friday night, and it's not a better place to watch a ball game and a high school football game than right here.
Coach, the tradition and all, your family is largely responsible for it. You coached with your dad. I believe you played under him and all. Talk about that relationship.
Oh, well, I'd have to first say there's been some really good assistant coaches here, and it's been a group effort, not just from the coaches, but the community and some good players, to go with that. But I think we've been blessed with really good assistant coaches. Our staff right now is just some of they're not just really good coaches, they're really good guys, and they're the kind of guys that I would want raising my child, helping raise my child. So I have to say that first. But I got to play under my father, I got to coach with my father, and that was a lot of fun. I never really realized what kind of a coach he was until after, you get to this point and you look back on it. Now you kind of say, well, dang, he's pretty good. So, when all that's happening, you don't really think about that. But I learned a lot from him. He didn't give me, I think the only thing he ever told me one time was, you need to back off the refs. So that's about the only advice I think he ever gave me. So.
Well, did he follow his own advice when you coaching under him?
Oh yeah. But after he retired, he came back and coached with us for 5 or 6, well, more than that. I think total years coaching, he coached almost 50, right over 50 years on the sidelines. So it wasn't just his time as an assistant or a head coach. He retired, then came back and kept coaching. He loved it. He loved spending time with the kids.
Well, Coach, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
And good luck tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
From Gonzalez Mexican Restaurant in Haynesville, Louisiana, it is game night here on the Dragon Sports Network, and we want to thank the Junction City cheerleaders for bringing us in tonight. Did an outstanding job. Hey, and it's always great to have some lovely ladies start the show off. Right now, let's get ready for opinions. I'm going to toss it over to Mr. Denton Ashcraft, and we're going to dive into a couple of topics and a couple of games.
Here we go. Y'all ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna let the Rev in on this. We can't even. Hey, we can't even see the Rev over here.
Do it.
That may be a good thing.
First time.
Wave at him, Rev.
Not blow a kiss at him. You blow it this way if you're gonna blow one.
Don't y'all love hot mic moments?
Oh gosh, not again. I didn't even make it through game night.
No, I left it on a while ago. We had to tell the ladies to be,
Oh, to talk?
you got to talk.
Was I live? I said, y'all can't talk about me for
Yeah, we were live.
You got to give us a heads up, man. I'm liable to say anything.
I can't help it, man. I got too many buttons. Look, do y'all see these buttons right here?
There's a
Anyway,
bunch of
all right, here we go. We got a couple of games tonight, a couple of good ones, actually. Actually, when I was headed down to Junction, I saw the Ruston Trailers. I was thinking, man, who are they playing in Arkansas? But found out they're playing the ex-Wildcat coach down there, or up there in Cabot. So we got Ruston versus Cabot tonight. That's a tough one. I think Cabot's kind of struggled a little bit this year. Ruston to be going, what would that be, y'all? Probably, a 4-hour trip at least or whatever?
4 hours and 2 minutes, but we're not going to nitpick.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I'll go Ruston on that one. How about you, Rev?
I think I go Cabot, just mainly because it's a home state team, and like you said, the travel for Ruston.
It's definitely going to be Ruston. Ruston's coming off a state championship game appearance last year. Like I said, Cabot's kind of struggling. Ruston brought some good players back, so I feel like they're going to dominate tonight.
Ruston's going to run away with that one.
Believe it or not, I'm going to agree with Brennan. Ruston will run away with it, no doubt.
Cabot.
Of course, Cabot, yeah. Go against the grain.
All righty, here we go. We know one of these teams very well, y'all. Be Prescott versus Hope. Be at Hope tonight. I go Prescott.
Yeah, there's no hope for Hope, Prescott.
I'm going to go Prescott, too, because I'm pretty sure Hope played in a scrimmage against Grove, and Grove handled them pretty nicely. So I think Prescott's going to be the one coming out on top.
I think Prescott wins this one by double digits. Pretty easy.
Well, Rev stole my line. I like the no hope for Hope, and I got to go with that. Prescott, people have been saying they're not quite what they were last year and all that, or the year before, but Prescott's still Prescott. They're going to be tough. We got them in 2 weeks, so we need to be ready for that because Prescott will roll over Hope tonight and whoever they got next week.
Yeah, that's a good point, Wayne. But also, Hope's not what they were last year, and that's a good thing for Hope, but it still won't be enough against the Curly Wolves. Prescott.
All righty, here we go again. Boonville versus Harding Academy. Sometimes I do check in on games, and I watched a little bit of that Boonville and Camden Harmony Grove game, and Camden Harmony Grove pretty much held their own the entire game. It's a pretty decent game. But I think that old Boonville may take another loss tonight. I go Harding Academy.
I'm going Harding Academy myself, too.
Yeah, I'm going to say Harding Academy, too. I think their passing attack is going to be a little too much for old Mr. Goff and Boonville over there, Brennan.
I'm going to be honest with you. Who does Boonville think they are playing these teams? Boonville's taking another loss this week.
Back and forth on it. I kind of wanted to go with Boonville, but I'm going Harding Academy for the simple reason I'm kind of like Brennan with, you're playing an aggressive schedule, no doubt, but sometimes it's not a good idea to load up with a bunch of teams you're going to have your hands full dealing with. I got Harding in this one.
And that one's in Searcy, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I got Harding Academy in this one. I just think there's too much firepower there for the Wildcats. Boonville lost a little bit from last year. I mean, it'd be a good test for them, but I got Harding Academy in this one.
All right, next up, be the last of our high school teams tonight, be Charleston versus Nashville. I'll say Nashville.
I'm going to have to go with Nashville on that, too.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to go with the bigger classification, Nashville. Charleston lost a lot. They're not the team they were last year, so I'm going to go with Nashville.
That's what I was going to say. I saw Charleston was rated, 10?
Yeah, they
must have lost a lot, so I'm going to roll with Nashville.
Yeah, that's got to go with the Scrappers. Nashville is Nashville. They're going to be tough again this year, and I don't think Charleston replaced. They lost some key players. I don't think they replaced everybody. From the way it sounds, reading up on them and stuff. I got Nashville.
You know, a couple of those key players they happen to lose.
Brad Johnson being one of them.
Okay.
It's going to be hard for them to really replace him.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Charleston, I think they're winless. I think they're winless entering. They've only played twice. Haven't played the full three like obviously Junction, many other teams have, but they're winless. I think they'll stay winless. But that could be a Charleston team that we look up in November, and they're right there in the thick of it, just based on the history that program has. But I got Nashville in this one.
Just by any chance, is that the Super Bowl winning quarterback Brad Johnson's son? You believe so? Man, I didn't know he came to Arkansas.
All right, well, we were checking before here. We're on to the college, and there's really not anybody playing anybody that's pretty, dominant or a dominant game. So we just stuck with some SEC teams this go around. You got LSU at Mississippi State. I think LSU is probably chomping at the bits to get back out there and prove themselves this year. I thought LSU might be the team to beat this year. And they still may be when it comes down to it. But you got LSU at Mississippi State. I'll go LSU on that one.
Well, like Wayne last week, I can't mention that team from Baton Rouge, so I'm going to have to go with Mississippi State.
Nah, I think LSU is going to come out on top. Mississippi State, I think they ain't really found their identity on offense since the passing of Coach Leach, so I think that's going to be a little struggle down there. LSU coming with the win.
LSU's, much as I hate to say it, they're going to win this one.
Well, I know at Clean Harbors, who is the presenter of game night here on the DSN, this is a big game to watch, especially in the engineering department. And I know who they're going for, the maroon and white. There will be no cowbell ringing taking place this week, probably after the first quarter or two. I hate to say it, but I'm going to go with Baton Rouge on this one.
I got a good buddy of mine enrolled in classes down there in Starkville, and I can assure you he's not watching game night right now. That's okay. We'll try to get him on board next week. You know what? I'm just gonna. I think the sky's falling in Baton Rouge. I hope the sky's falling in Baton Rouge. Mississippi State in an upset.
Whoa. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
All right, we got a next one here. We got Tennessee at Florida, which Tennessee struggled last week against I forget who did they play?
Austin Peay.
Austin Peay, that's right.
How could you forget?
Well, a couple of those games last week. But I'd say that I think Tennessee will bounce back this week. Florida's not been that great there. And we'll go Tennessee on that.
I'm going to have to go with the Vols on that also.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Vols too. I don't think they're just not very good, just to be honest with you.
Tennessee, definitely.
Tennessee and Florida, I think since Peyton Manning and Tim Tebow are no longer there, this game has become, as far as I'm concerned, irrelevant. But it is a possible statement game for Florida, and I don't know what's going to make me do this. Y'all can laugh at me next week, or you can start laughing now. I don't care. I'm going with Florida.
We'll remind you that.
Wow.
Like we're going to remind you.
I don't think Florida has won in the Swamp in it's been a while. It's been a while. They have not won in the Swamp in a while. I just think at some point, I think it's going to be Tennessee, which probably going to put Florida head coach. Somebody help me out here.
He was at I can't remember his
name,
name,
Lafayette.
He was Lafayette.
Anyway, probably going to put him on the
Napier.
maybe the Napier. Yes, Billy Napier. Maybe put him on the hot seat a little bit more. But I think Tennessee will get it done.
All righty, next we got, I normally don't do this, but Wayne picked it for us. I normally don't try to get the home team. But we got Arkansas versus BYU. It's a tough one.
Only if you want it to be tough, Denton.
Don't let it be tough.
BYU's rolling in this.
There's going to have to be a lot of improvement on Arkansas on this one. Let's keep it real. But, hey, I'll just pull one out there, Arkansas.
Well, if Arkansas plays this week like they did last week, they're going to go and go home crying. But I really think Arkansas will beat them. I go with the Razorbacks.
I'm looking for two things out of this weekend. One is going to be the defense of Arkansas to show that they are as good as they've looked the first 2 weeks. And the offensive line has got to improve. That offensive line has not been able to move the ball very well against two very subpar teams. But I think Arkansas is still going to be able to pull it out.
Heavy on the subpar. Y'all are taking a loss. BYU by 20.
I will say this. I heard some.
Let's next. Jake, Wayne, go ahead, Wayne.
No. I will say this. You know, people say that Sam Pittman hanging his head on the offensive line, and that is not getting it done. And you know how it is in college football. So he's going to have to improve that and show that, or maybe looking at another head man at the top of the hill.
Well, first things first, offensive line, I'm with D. Wood on that. They have got to show something. The next thing is the play calling. I mean, I'm not sure what we're – it's easy to say, well, it's the play calling, but you watch the Kent State game, or if you could stomach and watch it, you know, there's a lot of work still needs to be done. Defensively, I think they still got some issues here and there they got to address. I mean, you got to remember I can't remember if we played Western Carolina or Western Caledonia. I don't think it really matters. But between that and the Kent State game, it don't look good. So I spent some time in Utah. I'll go with BYU.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow.
Good pick, Wayne.
I agree with Daniel. I know Denton mentioned it too. I think now until further notice, each week going into it, you're just looking at that offensive line to really make a statement. And I don't think it has anything to do with Coach Pittman, you know, obviously being a former offensive line coach. I just think it has to do with if you're going to compete in the SEC, you got to be able to try to move some bodies out of the way up front. I mean, I think that's just how it is. Defensively, yeah, you want to see him continue to improve. But I think it goes back to that offensive line. I'm not going to say it's a write-in for Arkansas. Offensive line comes out and performs well. I think the Hogs take care of business. I'll go with Arkansas in Fayetteville. They'll turn all those red lights on, and the place will be jumping. So I think the Hogs take care of business.
Yeah, night game's a big deal.
All right, we got a good topic of discussion here. A couple of questions. One of them right here would be Deion at Colorado. How far do you think Deion can go with this team?
Well, I myself, being a Cowboys fan, watched him there as a player. Of course, prior to that, two-sport ball player, and he's took a bunch of guys that he shouldn't be able to win with, and he's winning. I think his attitude is contagious, so I think that he can continue to win there as long as he can keep them fired up. I think that's the key.
I think he's going to do good there until he decides to pack up his Louis luggage and head somewhere different in 2 years.
He's doing as good as he could do. I mean, the talent. It's going to have a big test with Oregon and USC coming up, but I'm rooting for him.
I think when you look at Deion and what he did at Jackson State, and of course that's in the SWAC, but turning it around and making them relevant, and then you look at what he's done at Colorado already. I believe he's there 2 or 3 years. He's going to do good. College football, by the way, needs this. Between the NIL fiasco and the transfer portal, which is a joke. I want to thank the NCAA for screwing up as good as they have. They're doing an outstanding job of it. So please don't let up. You need this in college football. You need a guy like Deion Sanders coming in, taking Colorado. Last time Colorado done something, it was the Denver Broncos winning the Super Bowl. So that tells you how bad this program has been. And now here they are 2-0. If they fool around, and I'm going to throw this at you guys, they fool around and go to Oregon undefeated and win that one and then get USC.
Big
some
game.
serious
I
talk,
mean,
Jim.
that's going to be the two most watched games there is. The ratings
Until the ones after that.
Yeah, till the ones after that, which will be even bigger.
I mean, think about I'm not trying to take the spotlight here, but just think about the fact that if by some chance they get through both of those and they're unbeaten, I mean, you got to look at them for the playoff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Especially if they're the top team coming out of that conference. I mean, yes, I know a lot has to happen, and the stars got to align the right way, this and that, and somebody's got to pop off and say something about sunglasses and hats and press conferences to get them fired up and get them going. But it's still a chance that it could happen, and that's what's crazy about it.
Well, go back to what Reb said. It's contagious. I mean, you get these kids. You got them fired up. And I heard all excuses about TCU. Yeah, it wasn't the same TCU team as last year. They still won the game.
Still TCU.
On the road.
They still won it on the road. And then you come home and you
be irrelevant. Because you can probably walk into anywhere in Clemson, South Carolina right now, and I'm sure they're pretty fired up with the way things have went because they've got a head coach, love Dabo, but he's not a transfer portal guy. He's not a guy that really believes in the portal. And then you go on the road and you get beat by Duke. I think it's a good Duke team, but I don't think it's a team that needs to do the Clemson that we know like that. So Deion's playing the game, and I'm not talking about it in between the lines. He's playing the game that is college football now. If you don't buy into those things, you'll be left behind. Deion just happens to be out in front of it, and you see the success he's had because of it.
Amen.
What was on fire right there?
I love it, boy. I love it, Jacob. Fire like that. All right, here's the next one here, the last one here. Can a 2-loss SEC team still make the college football playoffs? I'm going to say no.
I don't care who you are, 2 losses getting in the playoffs. I don't care what conference. It is a stretch. I do believe that the SEC is still the strongest conference going. I believe that. But 2 losses is going to leave you at home.
Yeah, I'm going to say no. The gap between the conferences and all the Power 5, it's definitely closed a lot more. It's not – SEC doesn't have as big of an advantage as they used to have in the Pac-12. They've shown with USC, Caleb Williams over there, and like we just said, Colorado right now, there's going to be 2 teams fighting for a spot. And then, you got Michigan and Ohio State up north. That's both of those teams going to be fighting for 2 spots possibly. You can see 2 Big Ten teams in there before you see 2 SEC teams in there. So for a 2-loss SEC team, I'm going to say no, not even a chance.
We're not going to discuss Ohio State with that cupcake schedule. They better not ever have 2 losses.
Shout out Alan Russell.
But a lot would have to happen for a 2-loss SEC team to get in, so I'm going to say no.
Well, it's September, and everybody's talking about the Pac-12 and what they've done. And I'm not going to take nothing away from Colorado because that to me is the story of the moment right now, and I love it. But they're looking at the Pac-12 going, well, this conference has really improved. Yes, they're now beating San Jose State. I want to congratulate them on that because that was a problem. They're beating up on San Diego State or California at Sacramento or whatever. I think in the end, when you get down to it, it depends on which SEC team it's going to be. A 2-loss Tennessee won't go. A 2-loss Texas A&M won't go. But I believe, and let's don't count out Saban and his group. I know there's going to be one at this table. His chest is fixing. He's going to look like an incredible. There we go. The Incredible Hulk has arrived. You can't count Alabama out.
Yes, you can.
Not yet. Not yet. Let's don't count them out.
They've come back to earth.
Georgia is the mystery.
Cupcakes.
Who have they played? Look at who they played. Look at who they played. Go ahead. I see you getting upset over it.
I'm not getting upset. It's not about who have they played. Nobody's beaten them yet. After they just hung a 60-burger in the national title game, yeah, they're going to play some cupcakes. They're Georgia, the number 1 team in the country.
They played TCU. That was TCU's first success since Sammy Bob was slinging it back in the 30s.
They're in the national championship game now.
I understand it's the national championship game. I will, to answer the original question, no, not this year. I just don't think a 2-loss SEC team gets in. But I will agree with you in the fact that it may depend on which 2-loss SEC team. It depends on how they get there. If it's a I don't know where Tennessee and Georgia play this year, but if whichever one wins and then they run the table and the other one goes and wins the SEC, is there an outside shot? Obviously, it depends on what happens in the Pac-12. I agree with Brennan. Ohio State should never have 2 losses. You play Purdue, Indiana Tech, all them. You're bound to have
Cincinnati A&M.
Cincinnati A&M, exactly. You're bound to have 10, 11 wins a year. So, the way this year is shaping up, and yes, A&M will not be a 2-loss team unless Petrino's calling the defense. But no, a 2-loss SEC team doesn't get in.
Okay, let me rephrase the question he asked. Can a 2-loss SEC champion win? In other words, winning the SEC conference title, championship game. Can they get in?
Well, I think that goes back to what you said. It depends on the situation.
Which team it is.
I would love to see a 2-loss SEC team win the title game because that means whatever division they came out of, it was absolutely chaotic.
Right.
And that would just be great football. But obviously a 2-loss SEC team wins the SEC title game. You got to put them in. And you're saying if they were to beat a previously unbeaten team on the other side in the other region, does that team still get in?
Exactly.
It just goes back. It just depends on the scenario. It's September, still a lot of ball left, but as it stands right now, not looking at conference championship games, I don't think one gets in.
Let me play devil's advocate, which again is we're gonna have division over here on this side of me, on to my left here. Alabama gets to the championship game with 2 losses. Georgia rolls in with no losses, and Alabama beats it. Does Alabama go?
100%.
You got to.
You got to.
In that scenario, you got
Well, that's
to.
what I'm saying.
All right.
You got to.
And what about Georgia?
Georgia would have to, too.
I mean, I think you got to. But that's one of those scenarios where it's like you just have to let it play out. I just think as it stands right now, I mean, I think D Wood mentioned it, like the SEC just doesn't feel like it's as powerful this year as it has been in years past.
It's not.
I mean, we see what LSU did, national stage, fumbled the bag. I mean, Bama gets beaten Tuscaloosa, which never happens. And, and I'm not saying Bama's bad by any stretch of the means, but it's just you don't see that dominance. A&M on the road in Miami. I think it's a decent Miami team, but, they put up a lot of points but can't stop nobody. Went back to their Big 12 days. So, it's just not that year for a 2-loss team to get in. Unless a situation like that occurs. But like I said, it's September. Who knows?
Now, let me add something to that situation real quick. If that situation does occur and Ohio State has to stay at home or go to how great would that be?
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
I mean, I love it.
Man, fantastic.
They haven't looked good this year.
I've
watched them twice. They did.
Well,
Allen, they didn't look
it
good.
really hurt when Marvin Harrison, when he went out that first game. I mean,
absolutely.
When he's not there, that dude, he's a freak.
I've mentioned this, and I'm not saying I've mentioned it as if like I'm the person that came up with it and I'm the savant when it comes to this. I think a lot of people realize it. But thank you. But I mean, we talk about the transfer portal and NIL. Look at what it's done to the landscape of college football.
Oh, goodness.
The playing field, I'm not going to say the playing field's even by any stretch because you still have your haves and your have-nots.
Yeah.
But that gap has closing significantly.
Yeah, that's
you got an Oregon team here who is going to, people are saying it's either going to be them or USC coming out of the Pac-12. Well, this is an Oregon team that went on the road and survived Texas Tech. In the week prior, Texas Tech got beat by Wyoming. And so you're starting to see this transfer portal, and these teams are starting to find – I mean, just look at Colorado, obviously.
There you
go.
You're
starting to be able to – the playing field's starting to be able to level slightly. It's still got your haves and have-nots.
Well, they sitting there keep talking about go to the Pac-12. I can't believe we're going to talk about the Surfer Boys, but that's all right. Washington and Utah, you guys have not mentioned them. You can't count them. You cannot count them out of the Pac-12.
No, Washington's probably – and the Ohio State will probably, Washington may have the best receiving corps in the country.
And a really good quarterback.
And a really good
Penix,
I agree.
Penix is, and that's a guy who got out of the Big Ten and got to the Big 12 and is able to, make a little something happen. He wasn't bad at Indiana, but he gets out to Washington and got a really good wide receiver core. In fact, I think I'm good friends with one of the wide receiver coaches out there, so excited for him. Hoping they can make a run at it. I think they got a good shot. Utah as well.
I think both those teams have a really good shot.
It's a Utah team. Sorry, it's a Utah team that's not. They didn't lose too many key parts from a group that last year went down to the swamp and beat Florida.
There you go.
So
there you go. There's something to think about. Well, that's going to wrap it up for game night here on the Dragon Sports Network. We want to thank Gonzalez Mexican Restaurant for allowing us to come in here, and again, thank the Junction City cheerleaders for bringing the show on. We're going to step away. Look for us on the air at approximately 7:15, and you will be hearing the delicate tones of one Mr. Brennan Cupp and one of the top in-game analysts in the business, folks, Mr. Daniel Wood. They'll be bringing you to action the 13th meeting between the Junction City Dragons and the Haynesville Golden Tornado. Hey, we had to screw something up before the end. So we will see you at about 7:15.
Game Night is presented by Clean Harbors Environmental Services on the Dragon Sports Network. The following has been an exclusive presentation of the Dragon Sports Network.